Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. Here today, Mike Bianchi's going to join us today. We haven't had him on a long time, so we'll have him on. And then no show on Monday, just so you know, Memorial Day. We're not going to do a show Monday. And we'll be back Thursday. It may be with Coach Spurrier, maybe with somebody else. We'll wait and see how that all works out. There's a lot of stuff in flux right now. In fact, we're the same way with the radio show because we have no idea if Florida's going to get in or not. The tournament, and if they send them somewhere weird, like I don't even know, Columbus, or I don't know if Ohio State's going to host a regional, but Jeff would have to leave a lot earlier, and then anyway, don't worry about that. We'll get it straightened out, but we'll definitely have a show next Thursday, just so you know. And then we'll go from there and see where we are. Let's go to our Process Service of Gainesville starting five, brought to you by Scott Hart and the Process Service of Gainesville. I think Scott was in on the picks again this week too, so we'll see how he does. See if he gets pulled. Does a great job. Number one on the starting five for me, and I always kind of go with what the biggest story is. To me, the biggest story of this week so far, and again, we're only talking 3-day week so far, but is what happens Tuesday with baseball losing. Now, going into the game, I was telling people, yeah, I think Florida's in now, but they might want to win one more just to make sure. Beat Vanderbilt. Then if you lose to Tennessee and beat or lose to the next game, you're still going to be over 500, and that was the big key. Now, a lot of people will tell you that Florida's still in. Right now, I think they've got Florida in the Tallahassee regional. And that, of course, where they put them is you never know. It could be they go regional. It could be they go, just they do what I call seeding with integrity is what I call it. Seeding with integrity means this. That means you seed 1 through 64, and then you put them wherever they have to go. And I know the NCAA wants to save money, and I don't blame them. But they'll do something like they'll send Florida Atlantic here and Stanford here, and stuff like that. And I say, well, how are you saving money that way? Either just pot everybody up into the geographically or have true seeding. And but anyway, and that's the other thing. You have no idea what this committee is, who they are. I guarantee you there's not one person out there. Well, there's probably one. There's not one person listening to this, I don't think, who knows who the chairman of it is this year. I don't know who it is. I remember one year chasing the chairman down in Jeremy Foley's box and yelling at him. Not yelling at him, but he actually had a player who played for Florida at the time. But I had a nice talk with him because I didn't like the lack of integrity seeding. And that was where you seed teams based on who's the best team. And they don't do it in basketball either. You'll see, like Florida got sent to Indianapolis, and everybody was fine with that because Indianapolis is a nice trip, but far away. But there was other seeds where you just went, what? Why are they going there? Why did Auburn have to go all the way up to Spokane? They just won the SEC tournament. So some of it doesn't make any sense. But hey, this is the thing I always tell people. Everybody goes, they just need to get rid of the NCAA. I'm like, well, who's going to run the baseball tournament? Well, they'll get people out there. No, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to put it together. Somebody's got to rule on any question marks, excuse me, that you would have. Anyway, the bottom line is Florida right now, according to D1 baseball, is going to Tallahassee as a 3 seed. I still think, and a lot of baseball people do not agree with me. I think it's 50-50 that Florida gets in. it's still a 1/500 record. Now, the strength of schedule is so good that it's going to be hard to keep them out. They finished low in the SEC. But they've got all those quad one wins. I think it's 13 quad one wins that they have. And I think I looked it up the other day, and I think I think they're fourth in the most quad one wins, and that should be enough to get you in. So I'll guess that they're in, but if they're not in, I'm not going to be surprised. And I was talking with Jeff about this earlier. We were just making sure our schedules are all lined up, and I was talking to him about, I don't know that I mean, I care. And again, this is going to happen Monday. I think it's around 2:00. They're going to announce this where everybody goes. But I don't. It's not that I don't care. I want Florida to get in. I want Sully to get in, but I don't expect anything from them. I mean, this is a team that just figures things out and then forgets them the next day. Like they figure things out against Georgia. Scored 19 runs in the last game. Hit a 3-run homer in the 10th inning to win the other game. All right. Let's go to Hoover and see what we got. Scored 1 run until the last inning, and Robertson hit a 2-run homer I'm not saying it's meaningless, but a 2-run, 2-out homer to put you down 6-3 doesn't mean a whole lot. It meant a lot to him. But anyway, the point is we'll see what happens with Florida, and we'll go from there. But this team, every time they seem to have figured things out, they forget everything that they've figured out in the next game. It's incredible. But there's a part of me. Now, I will say this, and we talked about this with basketball. I love that Florida gets in the tournament. And while they're in the tournament's more fun. When they get knocked out of the tournament, it's not fun. We were talking about this last night because we were talking about Gainesville High girls team is playing in Claremont for they're in the Final Four in softball. And Korlewski's daughter, Adriana, plays on the team. It's a good player. But we were just talking about this, and I was saying, and I was talking about on the radio, it's almost better to lose the first game, and if you're in a tournament, than the last game. Now, not many people will agree with me on that, but it hurts more losing the last game. You lose the first game, all right, we're out. Second game, all right. Third game, yeah, we get to the weekend. Fourth game, in basketball would be, God, you're almost in the Final Four. But that last game, when you're playing for a championship, that's the hardest one to lose. Anyway, all right, so let's move on to softball. And of course, that's number 2 on our process service of Gainesville starting 5. Softball playing, obviously this weekend. Hopefully, well, I don't want to say hopefully only Friday and Saturday because that could mean Baylor sweeps them. But look, it's 2 out of 3. We all know that. You know the rules. Again, Baylor's coming to town. They coming off a win over Louisiana. I think Florida is obviously the better team, getting us, with the 4 seed that they have. And they play Friday at noon, and I think Saturday's at 11. So early games, you're going to have to lather up, with your sunscreen out there. But it's going to be hot. But look, it's going to. I hope it goes great. I hope everything goes great out there. I do miss. I was talking to my wife the other night about things I miss and things I don't miss from my old job with the Gainesville Sun, and I don't miss the travel to places like Starkville and even nice towns like I like Knoxville. I like not Missouri. No, not putting Missouri in there. I actually like Auburn. There's a lot of golf courses there, more than there are here. But anyway, so I don't miss travel very much. I don't miss that. But what I do miss is being at events. I miss being at especially softball events. in baseball when you're there and it's a regional at home, and it's just fun. It's fun to be there. It's fun to feel the excitement. It's fun to, also know that when you're done, you go home and sleep in your bed. So, but we'll see how softball does. Hopefully they get all the way to Oklahoma City. I don't think baseball's going to Omaha, but Oklahoma City is certainly a possibility for this team. They played well all year, and that's why they have the 4th seed. All right, let's move on to number 3, and that is this story this week that has come out with Jaden Rashada suing Florida, suing Hugh Hathcock, because they promised him all this money and didn't deliver, and whatever. I mean, it's all. It feels like a story just will never die, and but if it's, there's certainly some things. This is what happens when you have boosters having control of things. And I'm not blaming Hugh. I know Hugh very well, but if a booster has been given, and this is what we talked about when all this started happening, when not with Rashada, not with Hugh Hathcock, not with anybody else, but when it started happening around the nation, and these players were now able to negotiate with agents and all this stuff, and you just worried that people like John Ruiz down in Miami would come in and do this kind of stuff. Look, it's what surprises me, the number of people who say, "Oh, this is the last straw for Billy. He's gone now." No, he's not. If he loses, he'll be gone. It has nothing to do with that, and they'll solve this problem. Okay. And they've got NIL under control now. It was not under control when it started. It was in a pretty bad place, to be honest with you. So they'll figure it out and they'll get it to work. And I'm not bothered at all by it. I think a lot of people are. And I will say this, it's not a good look. There's no doubt about that. And there's been a lot of bad looks around this program for a long time. In fact, I guess I can say this, Rick Hurtado, who is the sports information director for football, is now leaving. I think he's going to Dolphins. And you hate to see that. I mean, he's the guy that kind of took care of me. I really liked Rick. I liked him a lot. He's a good guy too. But anyway, we'll see what happens over there in the old football building, and if they can. This is not going to be a problem. Okay, in my mind, the problem is going to be if they just don't win games. And if you read Gators Wire, and this will be my last month working for Gators Wire, just to let you know, I've enjoyed it very much. They have been very, very good to me, but new people came in. They've offered me a contract that a high school kid wouldn't take. And so I'm not going to be doing it anymore. And that's fine. I've really kind of gotten a lot out of it. It's kept me writing. It's kept me doing a lot of fun stuff. Going to games too. I'll still go to games, but the bottom line is it just wasn't an offer that made any sense for me to do. And I'm getting a little closer to being retired. I don't know that I'm ever going to be totally retired. I'm only going to have 4 jobs now. I got radio. I've got this. I've got the writing for Gator Nation News. And that actually just did a story on the 10 best Olympians in Florida history. Probably totally screwed it up, but what's my 4th job? Oh, speaking engagements. Yeah, I got plenty of stuff going on. But anyway, so for Gators Wire, though, the last thing I wrote was the 12 reasons I think Florida's going to be in the playoff this year. How about that? I know that you're going to say, "Oh, it's just clickbait." I go, "No, I believe it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying I believe it's going to happen, and I believe they have a pretty good team, and I believe that 7 home games helps. And people can talk about the schedule all they want. I've already spelled it out that it's not necessarily harder than last year's schedule. But then they go out and lose to Miami, and you go, okay, it's not going well. We'll see what happens. But first 5 games, those are the keys. Got to get those first 5 games. All right, let's get to number 4 on our process service of Gainesville starting 5, and that is the NCAA board has approved for to pay all these schools, and they're going to pay. It's what is it? $2.8 billion, I think, is the total. They're going to pay former players who feel like they got screwed on NIL, and they got screwed because they were showing, I know Tim Tebow's going to get some money. In fact, I think Jeff was telling me he's going to get some money because he was a baseball player, and everybody's going to get a little bit of money. It'd probably be like $14.44 or something like that. But because you got a lot of athletes to deal with over the years. But they also approved, now, and we'll see if this happens, but they're approving $2 million in payments for players going forward. So basically, pay to play. It's done. There's no question that pay for play is going to be a part of college football, and we all know it's coming now. If this, again, the NCAA board has passed it, the SEC still hasn't agreed to it, and Pac-12, that like there is a Pac-12. Some of the smaller schools are complaining. Excuse me. This medication I'm taking for my neuropathy in my feet, sometimes I have a hard time waking up. So I apologize. So we'll see what happens there with it, and whether there is really much of an impact. I'm not sure there will be. And number 5 on process service of Gainesville starting 5, I did want to mention that this is kind of the end of the year, for athletics around Gainesville. We obviously have softball this weekend. If they don't get out of the regional, their season's over. We obviously hope we have baseball. May not have baseball. Track and field is going right now. And men's golf, I want to make sure I mention them. They tee off today, I believe it is, to get ready for the NCAA tournament. When I say get ready, they're in the finals, okay? Now there's like 18 teams in the finals, but you have to get high enough in your region to get into the finals, and Florida did. So here they are. This is the finals, and there's some really good teams. Vanderbilt's really good this year. And we'll see how Florida does. So that's going on. And lacrosse is in the Final Four, and that is being played on Friday, so tomorrow. So you got all that stuff going on. But then when it's all over this weekend, pretty much, we're done. We're done with Gator sports, I guess, till media day. Now, the Olympics are going to help us with that a little bit, and that's going to give us something to deal with. And there'll be a lot of Gators in that. And there's already 4 who've qualified. So we will, but I just wanted to point out that there's a lot of stuff still going on. To watch and to get excited about and everything, but this is the end this weekend, man. Then we're just having vacations and stuff. But we'll still come up with stuff to talk about, believe me. That's what I do for a living. Talk. All right, that's going to do it for our process service of Gainesville starting 5. Let's take a break. When we come back, Mike Bianchi will join us, and we'll play Yes, No, Way, or Maybe with him as well. And then we'll get to all of our other fun stuff in the third segment when we come back. You are watching or listening to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Okay, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. It's a great pleasure to bring back Mike Bianchi from the Orlando Sentinel, and of course, radio star too. And I do love that he has and it took him a while to get it, that picture of Carlos Alvarez up on the wall, because
there it is right there, Chico, the Cuban Comet.
The Cuban Comet. It took you a while to get that, because I can't remember why you didn't get it the first time.
Because I bought it at the auction for the Bob Dooley Invitational Golf Tournament, and then you lost it somehow. It was in your garage or something, and you couldn't find it. Yeah.
Then I found it. And I got it to you. I actually brought it out to Spurrier so you would make sure I could get it to you. So that was what it was. Yeah. Yeah, I lose things. I usually lose one thing at tournament. This year I lost the tickets for the drawing for the liquor, bottles of liquor. So that did not go well. All right, let's talk some sports, Mike. And it's funny because when I thought of you when that whole Scotty Scheffler thing was going down, I was like, because they were like going, we've never seen this happen in golf before. I'm like, do you not remember what happened when Tiger Woods was getting chased by his wife in Bianchi's backyard?
Right. Yeah. With the 9-iron as he drove off and hit a fire hydrant and wrecked an Isleworth. Yeah.
That was a little bigger story than Scotty Scheffler getting arrested.
Right. Although you always call me a golf illiterate because I'm not the country club. I didn't grow up in a country club setting like you.
Country club setting is what I grew up in.
So we were talking the other day about Scotty Scheffler, and I brought it up to a couple of other radio guys down here, and I go, this gives Scotty Scheffler some street cred, and they were like, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Yeah, before he was just a boring, really good golfer. Now people like the casual golf fan knows who Scotty Scheffler is, or the casual fan in general, not just the golf fan."
I was like, I think they're getting closer to it. They still, the whole Scheffler thing is throwing people off still a little bit. My wife kept going, "Well, I thought Scheffler was out of it." I go, "No, that's Schauffele." It's like seltzer and salsa, I mean, yeah.
By the way, speaking of that, you're going to call me a golf illiterate for this as well. When Schauffele was about to putt in the 6-footer to win the PGA Championship, I wanted a playoff. I wanted to see him and the big meathead Bryson DeChambeau go head to head. So right when he brought his putter back, I was watching TV on the couch, and I go, "That's it. I wanted a playoff."
No.
Right.
See, I didn't want a playoff, but I normally would have wanted a playoff. I just don't like the big meathead. I just wanted, and I don't really have any feelings about Schauffele, so it was kind of boring for me. But not boring is what happens around here all the time. We never know what story's going to break, and the one, and again, I don't think it's a big deal, but it just shows how messed up Florida was with the NIL, and just ridiculous. And now they seem to have it under control, but it's not a good look for the University of Florida.
No, it's a national embarrassment. I mean, you listen to the ESPN talking heads, they're talking about it. It's not, they say all publicity is good publicity. Well, it's not, because this is bad publicity. It makes it even worse that, the old defunct Gator collective looked like a bunch of Keystone cops on this deal. They got bamboozled by Jaden Rashada's NIL agents. I don't even know that Miami offered him $9.5 million. In fact, Miami said, "We didn't offer offer him that much money, but evidently the buffoons at the Gator Collective thought so, because they offered him 13.8 million or something. I wrote in my column, I go, did they really back out on the deal, or did they just finally come to their senses? Because good Lord.
And that's what I think happened to a point. I think, you've got a booster who's offering something of money, and then it gets back to the coach and he's like, whoa, we're not going to do that. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything Florida's got to worry about on this thing, but it is, people have said to me, many people have said, is this the last straw for Billy Napier? I'm like, no, the last straw would be 5-7 again.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, winning is the big deodorant for everything, but I'll tell you where it does hurt them. It's going to hurt them on the recruiting trail. I don't know how much, but you know how coaches are, especially a coach like Kirby Smart. I mean, if he's going for a 5-star against Florida, and all he has to do is say, "Hey, Florida's not going to give you what they promise you. In fact, if you don't believe it, let me let you talk to Jaden Rashada. Let me put him on the phone."
Right.
Okay?
No, he's right here. Yeah, that's right. He's in my quarterback room. Yeah.
Right.
That's the only reason he's here.
And that's another reason how Florida looks so stupid, that they offered $13.85 million to Georgia's backup quarterback. Good Lord.
He may be third string. I don't even know if he's bad.
But yeah, I think it could hurt him on the recruiting trail. I'm not saying it's going to decimate him on the recruiting trail, but again, negative recruiting is a part of recruiting. If Florida State or Miami are going head to head with Florida, they're certainly going to use this against them.
And Mike, you know what it's like, was like with Bobby Bowden, how they would use his age against him, and negative recruiting,
Right.
And I remember that one year when Ron Zook had that great class, and the FSU coaches were going, we got zooked, because he would send all this material out to these recruits about how, like maybe one more year, stuff like that. But I mean, that is negative recruiting is a big part of it.
Right. Especially in today's, big money world. If both schools are offering the same amount of money in NIL or whatever, all Kirby Smart has to say is, we're actually going to pay you the money. We're not going to renege on the contract. So
go ask our guys and make sure they got paid.
Right.
Yeah. That could be a factor, no doubt about it. But college football is in such a mess right now. I've said this to many people, and I believe it. I cannot even think about 5 years down the road what it's going to look like. I have no idea what it's going to look like. It could have super conference. It could be just like it is now. We could have an 18-team playoff. Who knows what it's going to be? Players could be, be getting, paid and paid to play and not have to go to school. I don't know.
Right.
They could get to that point.
Yeah, and it might get to a point where you have it might get to the point where you have the University of Florida football and basketball team and a corresponding number of women's sports, and the rest of the sports are gone. I mean, you could have no swimming team, no track team, because if all of these athletes are going to have to be paid, which, could happen if they're all on scholarship based on this House versus NCAA lawsuit, which they're getting ready to settle. That's if schools are going to have to ante up all of this money to pay players, there are going to be some non-revenue sports cut. I think you can count on that. But you're right, Pat. It's such a mess right now. I was thinking the other day, I can't wait for I always want football season to start, college football season. But now, especially because it seems like everything we're talking about on the radio or writing about on the website in the newspaper, this lawsuit, that lawsuit, Florida State suing the ACC in Florida, and the ACC suing Florida State and North Carolina, and House versus NCAA, and Jaden Rashada versus Billy Napier and the Gator Boosters. It's like, can we stop talking about lawsuits and get on with college football?
Yeah, I say, I did take a class in journalism and law, but I don't think there was any football involved in it, but
and I'm sure you didn't do very well in that class based on your journalism grades in college.
I didn't do good in any class, to be honest with you. I was just trying to get out.
Could you
Just
get into Florida these days? I couldn't.
unless they still let you go from JUCO automatic. I don't know. I don't think they do anymore.
No, I don't think so either. There's
Like-
no way I get in.
Did you go to St. John's or did you?
I went to St. John's River Community College just like you in Palatka, and then went to the University of Florida after that.
Home of the mighty Vikings.
That's right. I was the editor of the Viking Horn newspaper.
Can you explain to me why they're called the Vikings?
No, I can't.
You don't think Leif Erikson sailed up the St. John's River
Hey, maybe.
to
Unless
conquer
Ponce de
Palatka?
Leon was a Viking, I don't know what the tie-in is there.
He's going to conquer Palatka. We've discovered the new world, and it smells funny.
I'll tell
yeah,
tell you my Palatka joke off the air, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones. I like the people in Palatka, though. They're great people. And I enjoyed my 2 years there at St. John's. Back then, we used to have they had bands come and play in the cafeteria. And there was this one band, I think it was called Eli. And they would always, but they'd always open with Mississippi Queen. You know, that was always everybody be going, we didn't know the words, we'd just be singing like crazy. Hey, baby.
By the way, Dooley, I'm not bragging or anything, but I'm bragging, okay? I am in the St. John's River Community College Hall of Fame. So I just wanted you to
and
know
you're
that.
also
Are you
in
in
the
it?
U.S. Journalism Hall of Fame too.
That's right. I'm in 2 halls of fame. How many are you in?
I'm in 0.0. And you know what? I wouldn't be a member of a Hall of Fame that would have me in as a member of it. I'm gonna go Groucho Marx on it.
Okay, Groucho.
It is kind of amazing, but it's fine with me. I'm okay. I'm in my wife's Hall of Fame. That's the only
Okay,
one.
all right. Sometimes you're in a hall of shame, I hear.
God. Sometimes I'm just all sleeping. He's kicked me out of the bedroom. All right. So what now? Like you said, once we get to the season, it's all forgotten. All this crap goes away, and we just watch football.
Right.
And I almost think college football, like the NFL, is idiot proof. That no matter how much they try to make us turn away,
Must be, yeah,
they're
man.
gonna stay with
It
it.
must be idiot proof because look who's been running it for the last 75 years. They couldn't force. It's like the old newspaper industry has been running college football. They didn't force, like the newspaper industry. Oh, this internet's a passing phase. All right. It's like,
Yeah.
like college football. Oh, we're gonna be able to get away with not paying players forever. We'll fight it and fight it and fight it. And then finally, everything comes crashing down. They're not prepared for it. They try to make these NIL rules and nobody's following them. And hey, let's let the boosters pay for the players. That's a good idea, huh? With no,
Let's get them more involved. Yeah.
right. It's like, yeah, it is idiot proof. It really is because, the TV contract keep going up. And say what you will about all of the conference realignment and all of the lawsuits going on. This is going to be a fascinating football season. I love the bigger conferences with the better teams in the conferences. I think it's going to be great on the field.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the way that they didn't see this coming and they knew it was coming and they said, we'll win in court. We always win in court. And then the Supreme Court said, not only are you losing, but don't come back here anymore.
Right. Now they're like the Washington Generals at any time they go to court.
But that's right. That's what before it was like they were like, the Beatles, passing fad. They won't,
Right. Yeah.
It'll never go very far.
Bobby Benton's where it's at, I'll tell you. Frankie Avalon.
Bobby Benton, his hairpiece. Remember he had that hairpiece on?
No, I don't. I just remember watching commercials on KTEL about Bobby Benton.
Bobby Benton. All right, it's time for us to play Yes, No Way, or Maybe with Mike Bianchi is brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, where if you go in and say you listen to Mike Bianchi on another duly noted podcast, you get free French fries with your order. And
Ooh, I want
the
that.
cheesesteaks are awesome there.
Mm.
Big Mills was out cooking. They cooked sausage and bratwurst for our golf tournament. It was
I
awesome.
love that stuff. Oh, that sounds good. Oh,
All right, let's go to the Big Mills Zoom line too. They sponsored the Zoom line to get these 3 questions. Yes, nowhere, or maybe, Mike. 1, you deserve a cut of that 2.8 billion that the NCAA is going to end up having to settle
who
because
deserves a cut?
you were at the games.
Do I deserve a cut? No, I don't deserve it. I don't know. Is it no way or no?
No way.
No way do I deserve a cut. I was getting paid by my newspaper and my radio station to be at these things. So I was actually employed at the time and drawing a salary with benefits and medical benefits and all of that. So no way do I deserve to be paid. Although I do think we deserve some of the SEC and ACC media money, because we have helped, we are part of the media, are we not? And we have helped publicize these leagues and make these leagues what they are. So I think we deserve a cut of that. Absolutely.
How many times have I in the press box when they announce a media timeout said, "That's not a media timeout. We're in the media too, and we don't want it to be a timeout.
We don't want a timeout. We want the game to be over quicker because our deadlines are bad." Yes.
We want a running clock all the time. Yeah. All right. Number 2 on yes, no, where, maybe with Mike Bianchi. You have worn a tie in the last year.
Let's see. I didn't wear a tie to Martin Finley's memorial celebration. No way. No, I don't. No, I have not worn a tie. In fact, I don't even know how to tie a tie, quite frankly. So no way. I rarely wear ties. If I'm going to maybe a formal function, but I don't go to any formal functions. Nobody would have me at a formal function. No way. No.
Weddings and funerals are all about it for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
have you worn a tie in the last year?
Yeah, I went. No, I didn't wear a tie there. I didn't wear a tie to John Rosenrod's viewing. Maybe I haven't. I don't know.
Rosie would not want you to wear a tie to his viewing.
I did for Karen's father's funeral up in Arlington Cemetery. I did wear a tie for him.
Yeah, you should there.
Yeah, I don't think they'd have let me in without a tie there.
Right.
All right, number 3, Mike Bianchi on yes, no, where, maybe. You consider yourself more of a radio guy now than a journalist.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna go. I'll go maybe on that. I'll go maybe on that because I actually work on the radio more days a week than I write a column. I'm on the radio 5 days a week. I write about 4 columns a week, but I still consider myself more of a journalist / columnist because I wouldn't even be allowed on the radio if not for my affiliation as a newspaper guy throughout my career, whether it be in Gainesville, Jacksonville, Orlando. I think that's what gives me some credibility as far as being on the radio. So I still consider myself a journalist / columnist, but I'm sure there are a lot of people who don't read the newspaper anymore who think I'm just a radio guy.
Yeah, how is that going with it? I mean, most papers are just going sideways now, and obviously,
the Sentinel's still doing pretty well. I mean, we're still publishing 7 days a week, which is more than a lot of more than the Gainesville Sun can say.
Yeah.
And we're actually.
I think they're just mailing it now. They don't even have people driving on, throw it in your.
No, I think the Sun has started to mail their paper, which means you're getting day old news 3 days later. So yeah, it's the Sentinel's actually doing pretty good. Again, publishing 7 days a week. We actually deliver the newspaper in the morning and don't mail it. So yeah, I think we're doing better than most.
Yeah, that used to be, you'd be laying in bed and you couldn't fall back asleep, and it'd be 6 a.m. and you'd hear that paper hit on the driveway and you go, all right, that's something I'm going to go do. And I'll go, and you'd read it cover to cover.
Jerry Green used to have Jerry Green, the late great columnist at the Sentinel, who you know very well. He used to have this great, he loved the newspaper. He would read it cover to cover every morning. I mean, front page, the editorial, sports. He goes, every morning when I walk out to the driveway to pick up my newspaper, he goes, it's like a little Christmas gift on your driveway every morning. You unwrap it and you just don't know what you're gonna find inside. And I was like, yeah, that was the good old days.
Now you can't unwrap it.
Yeah. Now you get it in the mail and put it in the garbage.
You get it in the mail and it goes, World War II over.
Right.
We like picking on newspapers now these days, but
you do. I'm still working for one, Dooley.
I know you are. I appreciate that too. And believe me, we're both doing radio. But by the way, tell people where they can hear you on the radio.
That's right. You can hear me. You can get us on, streaming, iHeartRadio. Search for 96.9 The Game in Orlando. So we're actually on in Orlando. We're on in Jacksonville. We're on in Tallahassee. We tried to get on in Gainesville at RUF, but for some reason they want to run ESPN radio at 6 a.m. I don't know why they won't put us on the air in Gainesville. I mean, I'm sure they'd like to have a local / statewide show over some, garbage national show that they're running in the morning.
Well, I'm sure all they're talking about is NBA on that show.
Right.
Yeah. They're not talking about the Gators.
I don't think they're talking much about Jaden Rashada or Gator recruiting on ESPN national radio.
Recruiting. All right, Mike, thanks a lot for joining us. We'll be back with more of another Duly Noted podcast after we take this break. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Duly Noted podcast. This is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Spite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. All right, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Dooley Dome Gator Studios, brought to you by Meldon Law. And we appreciate Meldon Law, appreciate all of our sponsors, and Hesser and Kipke are among them. And, of course, it's time for Hesser and Kipke Three Things. Of course, Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of family law and workers' compensation. If you're a loyal listener of this show, you know who we are by now. If not, Google the firm, check out the reviews, and hear what our clients have to say. Ken and Jennifer can be reached 24/7 via call or text at 352-339-98 I said it wrong. 352-339-9920. There you go, Pat. 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. We appreciate them from being not only a sponsor of our podcast, but a sponsor of our golf tournament. They do that as well. All right, let's get to number one on the Hesser and Kipke 3 things. What in the world's going on with the Phillies? And I'm asking Ken directly that question because they're just losing it. They're so good that they're making the Braves distant. They're 6 games back. The Braves are. They have won. They have the best start in Major League Baseball since the 2001 Mariners. Is Ken Griffey still playing for them? But they're just playing great baseball. I mean, they've got everything going right now. And again, it's very early. You know, the Braves are 6 back. I don't know if they can catch them. Of course they can catch them. They got all year to catch them. And we'll see what happens. But the Braves, I am worried about the Braves. I mean, the injuries they've had with the pitching, you know, I'm not sure that we're the team to beat anymore this year. I think it might be the Phillies. Hopefully it's not the Yankees. I'll be rooting for the Phillies against the Yankees. I'll tell you that. But Ken, your Phillies are making me mad, and the pretzels are making me thirsty. All right, let's get to number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 thing. We talked about this the other day, and it happened again. Both the home teams win in the first game of the playoff, which is what home field advantage, home court advantage is supposed to be a big deal, right? That's why you play all year and you know, to these 82 games to get home court advantage. And it's nothing. Well, so far it hadn't. I mean, the Celtics losing to the Pacers, and that game was fun to watch. I got to say, I'm kind of a little bit of a closet Pacers fan because they did send us a ball, and I know Mike Weiner up there who works for them, and he got us a signed ball by all the team for our golf tournament, and also because you know, Nemhard, I like Nemhard. You know, I liked him when he was here, but when I watch him play, that ain't the Nemhard that I knew. I mean, but he does make some shots, man. Remember the one he made against Auburn? That was and I think it was in overtime at the buzzer to win that game in the SEC tournament. Anyway, yes, because he left here, does he count as a former Gator? I count him as a former Gator. He played 2 years here. I know that we were having this discussion on Twitter about whether I count this person or not, and I'm like, well, then Florida should be able to count Cam Newton. And I wouldn't count Cam Newton because he didn't really play much here. He played a little bit here. I certainly wouldn't count him as a Heisman winner because he didn't win a Heisman here. Anyway, let's move on to number 3 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things, and that is that Caitlin Clark is 0-5, and the reason she's 0-5, she was drafted by a bad team. They got the number 1 pick for a reason. They're not good, and she's struggling with it. I think certainly she's trying to keep positive hopes. And look, am I watching them play? No, I just happen to notice this story. That bloom is off the rose because women's basketball had this incredible resurgence in college basketball because of Caitlin Clark. Everybody wants to say Caitlin Clark and Angela Reese and what's her name? Booker? Is that how you say her name up in Connecticut? No, it was Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark did it. She got women and men, especially women though, really interested in college basketball. But I don't think it's going to transfer to the WNBA. They did get great viewership her first game, but as the season goes on, I don't know. I just don't see. I personally, I hope it happens. I'm a big supporter of women's sports. However, I don't watch WNBA games. It's just not. I mean, it just doesn't mean anything. If there was a team in Gainesville, I'd watch it. You know, the Gainesville Gators were playing the New York Liberty, I'd be out there watching those games. So anyway, yeah, I think you're seeing my point. So that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let's get to our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick pick. Make it pretty easy for you. Florida plays Baylor. We know that in softball. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Who wins the series, and what is not the total score, but it's all right. This is pretty simple. It's either 2-1, 2-0. That's it. That's all it can be. It's 2-1 or 2-0, right? Yeah. There's only 2 options you can give it, but you gotta say you won. So if you say Florida 2-0, Baylor 2-1, Florida 2-1, Baylor 2-0. Those would be your only four options, I think, right? Yeah, because you got to win 2 games. All right, so that'll be your Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. Playing with Kyle tomorrow too. Playing golf with him. I can't wait. Out at UF, yes, Kira Grace Foundation tournament. Always a good cause there. But looking forward to that. All right, let us get to our Adams Ribco to go Gators of the week. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but this is who it's going to be. It's going to be all the Gators who have already punched their ticket in the NCAA track championships. Of course, Florida has had a lot of success in this, but there's 4 that have already punched their ticket. Long jumpers, two long jumpers, a discus and a javelin, I think it is. But hey, just getting into the finals, that's you've made the step that you need to make. I know there's a lot of them that didn't make the finals. So they are our Gators of the week because they're going to be competing for NCAA championships now. I think it's in Eugene. Again, it's always in Eugene, isn't it? It is a great running community. I've never been to Eugene, but I've seen movies. I saw Steve Prefontaine story. That was actually pretty good. Billy Crudup is really good in that. And that girl from, gosh, she's in something else, but I can't remember what it is. Anyway, congratulations to them, and congratulations to anybody who wins an NCAA championship in anything. That's pretty big. Not as big as the Olympics, but it's pretty big. Pretty big. It is time for us to play that favorite game, This, That, and the Other. I know you like it very much. It is brought to you by Ironwood Golf Course, home of the Bob Dooley. It is brought to you by Darshakow Insurance, and it is brought to you by Ballyhoo. Bill Reichert for Ballyhoo. Not only did he have fried gator tail on the course with remoulade sauce, that was there are 2 holes that stood out. I don't want to discount anybody, but the first hole in the 17th, or the 10th hole and the 17th hole were unbelievable. And the first hole with the big mills over there too. We had a lot of stuff going on. But the 10th hole, we had sliders that were provided by Benny Keith. We appreciate them. And kegs. There were some shots involved. Then on the 10th hole, though, we had Bill Reichert brought that out, and he supplied the wings for the party the night before. What a guy. Just a tremendous human being. We appreciate him. All right, so we're going to play This, That, and the Other here. When I was a kid, I know, black and white TV, yes, it was. And I would grow up, and you might get one college football game on Saturday. That was it. These people who don't realize how good they have it. But anyway, that's the point I'm making. One football game. That's all we would get sometimes. You might get 2, one in the afternoon, one at night. That was it. That is that Georgia and Oklahoma sued the NCAA. I think it was, and the CFA, 84-ish, I think it was. And that was it. They couldn't restrict it anymore. The teams wanted to own, those conferences wanted to own it. They wanted to show more. They wanted more on TV, and they did, and they won the lawsuit, and it opened up everything. Now the other is that now we're in a situation where it's not enough to have a lot of games on. Now we have to stream some of them, and you know how I feel about that. I did watch the Dolphins game, playoff game, because it was only on streaming, but we already had that streaming service. I still don't like it. And I've got a million streaming services, but they're to watch like Gator baseball and movies. But if you're watching a college baseball or a college football game, and you're trying to flip, you can't flip. That's the problem. If you flip, you got to wait forever to come back. I timed it one day. I did time it the other day. It was like 50 seconds from the time, and you'd say, where are you looking, Pat? I'm looking at my TV. From the time that I hit the button and said, Florida softball, to the time that it actually came on, it was like 56 seconds. And okay, you can wait that long. Yeah, but if I want to flip off of it, it's going to take 56 seconds to come back. That's my problem with streaming. However, they're making it more ad friendly now, and it's just the way that things are going. We can complain, or we can go back to the old days when there was one game on. But at least there's options out there. Now, they're not ideal to me. The streaming is not ideal, but it is an option. And I know that the NFL is going to have 2 Christmas Day games streaming. I don't know where this. Eventually, my thinking is they're going to get to a situation where it's easier to watch them. It's easier to stream things, and that you stream something, you just go to it, and it comes on 5 seconds. That'll be fun. And I like that we have more games. There are plenty of games, but anyway. I think I'm rambling a little today. Anyway, that's this, that, and the other. Brought to you by Ironwood, by Ballyhoo Grill, and by Darshackow Insurance. I am rambling a little bit. All right. Let's wrap it up with our games of the weekend, brought to you as always by the Swamp Restaurant, another sponsor of the Bob Dooley Invitational. They were out there serving margaritas. I had a couple, I got to admit. They were very delicious and very, very nice of them to do that every year. Really appreciate them. All right, our games of the weekend, and the Swamp's the place to go. They've got all kinds of specials going all weekend. If you want to get over there, and this is a good time to be able to go over there because the students are out of town, and you can kind of have your pick of the seat, for a while here, but they'll be back. But yeah, this is a good time to go to the Swamp, and of course, there's a lot of stuff going on. Tuesday, well, let's just give you the games. Indiana, obviously, is playing Boston Thursday night. That's at 8 on ESPN, and then it's Dallas and Miami on TNT at 8:30 tomorrow night, Friday, and just keep going with that. That's the way it's going to go. 8:30 on Friday, the Indianapolis Boston game. ABC 8:30. It just keeps going like that. So just know that your games are going to be late for basketball, the NBA conference finals, and they're all going to be on either TNT or ABC or ESPN. Got it? Got it. All right. Let's talk about softball, which is Friday at noon. Some of you may be listening to this and you already know what happened in the game, but Friday at noon, don't spoil it for anybody. Friday at noon on ESPN2. So that's cool that they're on. That to me is on being on network TV. When you're on ESPN or ESPN2, you're on network TV. And even ESPNU, I'll give them that. But when you're on the Plus, you're not on network TV. And you're on streaming, you're not on network TV. But to me, there's no difference between CBS and ESPN and ESPN2, and they're all the same. I like them all. That SEC network, they're all the same. They're networks. You just turn them on, they're on. Anyway, So Florida will play again. Friday they play at 12, and then Saturday at 11. Early games for you guys. Saturday at 11. That game has not been decided because they'll wait and see who wins and loses and what's interesting. If Baylor wins, maybe they move the game to later in the day, which is what happened last week. They moved that game to 4 o'clock. So we'll see when they play those other, and again, the Sunday game may not be played if somebody's already won 2 games. So no point giving you a time there. Lacrosse, I do want to give you that. Friday is on ESPNU. So I'm sure the Swamp gets ESPNU. I'm pretty sure they do. That's at 3 o'clock. Hey, you're in the Final Four. I know people have a hard time getting into lacrosse. It's kind of hard to see the little ball. It's a very athletic sport. I can't believe how athletic these young ladies are. But I have the same. I like going to lacrosse matches because you can see better. It's kind of like hockey. Playoff hockey is great. Watching hockey on TV, no, thank you. I'm not going to do that. But we'll watch this on TV, right? Hey, it's on ESPNU, man. It's on a network. And then also men's golf. Florida's men's golf team, we mentioned before, started today. None of that. I think you may be able to get it on the plus when they're playing and for those of you who don't know, what they do is they play stroke play for like 3 rounds, I believe it is, and then the top 8 teams that qualify in stroke play then play match play. So one will play 8, 2. It's kind of like what they did in the SEC tournament, pretty much the same thing. So we'll see how that goes. But now when they go to the match play, it'll be on the Golf Channel. So just keep an eye out for how things are going and what time Florida will be teeing off. I know today they teed off at 4:17. They're out in Carlsbad, California. So there won't be any early times, but there'll be some late times when hopefully maybe they can do it again to repeat as champions. That would be unbelievable. But they're there. They have the same chance as everybody else, right? I mean, they've qualified for the finals, so they've got the same chance everybody else does. So let's just go get them, Gators. And I appreciate JC and all the stuff they do and all the stuff he does for our golf tournament too. He and Dudley are 2 of my favorite people in the world, and look forward to watching it. All right. That's going to do it for today's show. Again, no show Monday, but we'll be back on Thursday. It may be with Coach Spurrier. It may be with another guest. We'll have to wait and see how everything's going. Got to get everybody's travel plans all set up. And appreciate everybody for watching, listening, being part of it, being a sponsor, being a guest. Everybody. Mostly, I thank Zach for producing and putting up with me, which is the hardest part of his job. Zach does a great job. We will be back with more Thursday. Again, Thursday we'll be back. Until then, I am Pat Dooley. I am Deep Way Back, and I am out of here.